What if the heavens opened, and you saw creatures of fire, wheels full of eyes, and a throne above the earth? This is not mythology. This is the story of the prophet Ezekiel, straight from the Holy Bible. This is a story of exile, strange visions, divine judgment, and unstoppable hope. Before kings fell, before Jerusalem burned, a priest stood among captives by the rivers of Babylon, not in a palace, not in comfort, but in exile. His name was Ezekiel, and through him, heaven opened. In the 5th year of exile, the hand of the Lord came upon Ezekiel. A storm wind rolled in from the north, flashing lightning, radiant fire. 4 living beings appeared with terrifying beauty. Beside them were wheels within wheels, filled with eyes, moving wherever the Spirit led. Above them was a throne of sapphire light, and on that throne, a radiant figure, glowing like molten gold. Overwhelmed by the glory, Ezekiel fell face down, but a voice spoke, "Son of man, stand on your feet." He was sent to a rebellious people, whether they listened or not. A scroll filled with lamentation and warning was placed in his hands. He was told to eat it, and though its message was heavy, it tasted sweet like honey. Ezekiel became a watchman, called to speak truth even when no one would hear. God turned Ezekiel himself into a living sign. He lay on his side for many days, carrying the burden of Israel. He built a model of Jerusalem under siege. He shaved his hair and divided it, a symbol of coming destruction. Then came a heartbreaking vision. The temple, once holy, filled with idols. And slowly, sorrowfully, the glory of God began to depart, not because God abandoned his people, but because they had abandoned him. Jerusalem would fall, and when Ezekiel's own wife died suddenly, he was told not to mourn publicly, a sign of the shock that would silence the nation when the city fell. Then the word of the Lord turned outward, against surrounding nations, Ammon, Moab, Edom, Philistia, Tyre, shining with wealth and pride, Egypt, ancient and mighty. Rulers who believed themselves untouchable were warned. Every kingdom built on pride will fall, because the earth belongs to God alone.
A messenger arrived with devastating news. Jerusalem has fallen. The warnings were fulfilled, but now the message began to change. God promised a new shepherd, one who would seek the lost and heal the broken. He promised a new heart and a new spirit. Then Ezekiel stood in a valley filled with dry bones, bones scattered across the desert, lifeless and silent. God asked, "Son of man, can these bones live?" Ezekiel spoke the word of the Lord. Wind rushed across the valley. Bones rattled and came together. Breath entered them, and an army rose to its feet. Where there was no future, God created life again. It was a promise of restoration. Even when everything seems dead, God can restore. In his final visions, Ezekiel was carried to a high mountain. There he saw a future temple measured with perfect holiness. From beneath it flowed a river of life. Where the water moved, deserts bloomed. Trees grew along its banks, bringing healing to the nations. And then, the most beautiful moment of all, the glory that once departed returned. The presence of God filled the city again. Its new name would be, "The Lord is there." Not abandonment, but restoration. Not destruction, but renewal.
Perhaps the greatest message of Ezekiel is this: God does not abandon what he plans to restore. When hearts grow distant, he calls them back. When hope feels buried, he breathes life again. And even today, the same Spirit that raised dry bones still speaks life into those who listen. If this journey through Scripture has spoken to you, stay with us as we continue exploring the living Word, one story, one vision, one promise at a time. Let the message remain with you, and may the presence of God go with you.